In this tutorial, we're going to make Happier by Marhsmello. First step, go to Virtual Instruments. Change the tempo to 100, turn on the metronome. We're going to stay in Studio Grand, but over here we're going to change the scale to D minor. We're going to turn on Smart Chords and make sure the complexity is in the bottom left corner. Then turn on Smart Keys and give it a test. Then you're going to press record and play the following keys, starting on A on your keyboard, which is a D minor chord. Here we go. Once you've recorded, double click on the region to go into the MIDI editor. Scroll down a little bit, make sure your mouse is activated, and you're going to click and highlight all of these notes. Then we're going to quantize, and you'll notice the notes will move in time with the grid. Let's check it. There's one note that's not quite right in this chord here at 1.4. It's this one. Make sure you're still on mouse mode, and we're going to drag this B flat up to a C. Make sure it's C4. Listen to it. That's better. Get out of MIDI editor mode, zoom in around 5, and drag this bit of the track region so that it's right on 5. Zoom back out. Drag the track here to loop it to 13. Next, we're going to add a one-shot from BandLab Sounds down here in the bottom right. Make sure you go to one-shots, search for snap, underscore, in capital letters, one-shot. We want to choose this one with capital one-shot. We're going to drag that in at 5. Zoom in, and we're going to place this on beat 5.2, right click to copy, go to 5.4 and paste it there as well. Then highlight both, click and drag, right click, copy, zoom in a bit so you can see 6.2, paste it there, 7.2, paste it there, 8.2, paste it there, and let's zoom out again. Now we're going to highlight all 8 snaps, right click, copy, zoom in again, so that you can see 9.2, right click, paste. Let's listen to it from 5. At 9, we're going to add drums. Go to Add Track, choose Drum Machine. If you get this option, choose Start from Scratch, empty. It will automatically put it in at 1 with A and B at 5, so we can delete those two. Down here in Patterns, make sure you've chosen A. Where it says 808, change this to 909. Click away. Get rid of BandLab Sounds, and let's start adding some bass drums. We're going to put it at 1, 1.33, and we're going to go to here where it says 1 bar and change it to 2 bars. Now it should be 2.1 and 2.33 automatically, and then we're going to put 2.42. Once we've got that, we're going to click Add A, and that will put it here in the track. Let's hear it. Double click on Drum Machine and call this bass drum. Let's go Add Track, another drum machine, again, start from scratch, empty. Delete this region at A and this region at B. Make sure you're on pattern A down here. Stay on 808, and we're going to put in hi-hats in every box. Then we're going to choose the velocity tool and randomly assign some parts of the hi-hat so that they're a little bit louder than others. You can seriously do this completely randomly. This just gives it a little bit more of a human feel. Then click Add A. Drag it out so that it goes to 11. Turn down the volume of the hi-hat, and let's drag both of these out so that they go to 13. Change the drum machine name to hi-hat and click away. Add a new track and choose virtual instruments. Click on Studio Grand, find synth basses, and look for modern hip-hop bass. Click away, choose keyboard, and we're going to play these notes. Let's record that at 9. We're going to play it in live and quantize again. Here we go. Once you finish recording, drag it back so that it goes to 13. Double click into the MIDI editor, scroll down a bit, zoom out so you can see all of the notes, click and drag so that you have all of the notes highlighted, and press quantize. Listen to it. Close the MIDI editor, either by clicking on MIDI editor or pressing the X here. Go back to BandLab sounds. You should still be in one-shots, but just delete your search and type in electro space K-pop space sweep space up space SFX. Make sure you choose the one that is 02. Click and drag it so that it sits in the next available track. Now you can see the transient of the note. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it drops suddenly here. We need to line that up right on 13. Click and drag. See if you can line it up as close as you can to that spot. Go back up to the piano and zoom in. Right at 12.4, right click and press slice. Then go into this part in the MIDI editor and we're going to put in some notes. C4, E4, and G4. Drag them out so that they go for the whole bar. Zoom in, and at A, drag it back so that it goes to the same point where you split earlier. Do the same with the hi-hat. At this point, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit save. It should say project saved at the bottom. Wait until it saves before you continue. Also, change the track name. It should automatically save. Go up to your piano, copy it, and paste it in at 13. Go to your bass drum machine, and at 13, double click to go into the drum machine. This time, choose pattern B, and we're going to put in the snare and this tom, the one that is labeled I, but we're going to change it to a clap. We're going to put that in at 1.2 and 1.4. We're then also going to get the velocity mode and highlight all 4 notes that you've just added. Now click Add B. If there's already a region added, just delete whatever's there, and now drag this out to 21. By the way, close BandLab sounds. Let's tidy some things up. Let's label this one bass. Let's label this one riser. And our first one, let's label that piano. And this one snaps or clicks, depending on the word you'd like to use. Make sure you listen to your track regularly. Now we're going to add some things at 13. Let's add a track. Let's choose virtual instruments. Click on Studio Grand and find strings. Scroll down and find String Orchestra Staccato. Click away. Now go over to Scale and change it to D minor again. Turn on Auto Chords and make sure the complexity is right down the bottom. Now choose Smart Keys, and we're going to do the same chords as we have done before. We're going to record it in quavers or eighth notes, something like this. Turn on the metronome and press record. Once I've got a good take, double click into the MIDI editor, click and drag so you can highlight all, then go to quantize. If you listen to the real track, you'll notice that there is some delay. We're going to go down to effects. And when we get effects, we can see there are presets. We're going to type in the search string echo, and you'll notice all of these new ones at the top. Just scroll down and you'll find string echo there. Click on it to add. The filter echo can stay at 76, but we're going to just increase the time of the delay to 300 milliseconds. Cutoff, we're going to drag this little slider all the way to the top. And our mix, we're going to change to 25%. Turn off the space maker by pressing this little on-off button. Scroll down so you can see your strings and turn down the strings volume to about -9 dB. Let's hear what it sounds like. When you stop the track, you can hear the delay. We're going to save this edited string echo as a preset, and we can do that with this little disk here. Let's just change it to string echo template. You can press save. Let's add a new track. Again, virtual instruments. Change it from Studio Grand to clean guitar. Click away. On a Mac, I can hold Option and drag this down. It will copy the MIDI into the track below. Let's drop the volume down a little bit, again to around -8 or 9 dB. But what we also need to do is add the effect. You can do that here with the little effects button, or you can choose the main effects button at the bottom. Let's use this one for now. We can go to presets, we can go to my presets, and we'll see string echo template. That's now been applied. Let's listen to it. To make sure we don't get confused, let's change this to strings and this to guitar. Go back into the bass drum machine. We've got pattern A, we've got pattern B. Now we're going to make pattern C. We're going to use exactly what we see in pattern B first. Don't forget I then have to change the velocity of all of these. And now we're going to add a bass drum on each beat. I'm also going to raise the velocity on those bass drums. You'll notice it gets a little bit brighter when we add increased velocity. I'm going to go back to the bass drum and just drag this in to 19. Then at 19, I'm going to go to my new pattern C and click Add C. Now at 20, I'm going to add a new pattern D, which is going to be the same. Except I'm going to add kick drums on all 4 boxes in each beat. So I'm creating semiquavers or 16th notes. I've got to change this one to the clap again, and I'm going to increase the velocity on all. Delete these two. At 20, click Add D. We're creating the build here. I noticed that I hadn't dragged out the strings, and do the same with the guitar. Now, in the hi-hat drum machine, we're going to go to 17 and double click. Drag this out so that it's halfway through 20. You can see it stops there. Now, drag them out to 20.2 or halfway through 20. The hi-hat is a little bit too far. It needs to come back to here, 20.2. Go back to your bass, right-click, copy, and let's paste that at 17. Right-click, paste. Drag this one back so that it's the same as the others. Now we're going to add the famous melody. Add track, virtual instruments, click on Studio Grand, go to synths, find retro synth brass. Click away. Now on 17, double-click. Let's get into the MIDI editor. Here is the piano roll. And at C4, we need this note F. We're going to start at the 3rd box, 2nd box, 1st box. Next note is G in the 4th box, and then it's going to go to 3. And we're going for the note A. Get out of MIDI editor. Instead of looping, right-click and copy. At 18, right-click and paste. At 19, right-click and paste. And at 20, right-click and paste. Go into the 2nd region and change this note here from a G up to a C. Then get out of MIDI editor. Finally, drag this in so that it's back with the rest. The sound of the main melody is great, but we're going to make it even better. To do that, let's add effects, click Add Effect, and type in Shifter. choose multi-shifter, get rid of the 4th up by clicking and dragging down, get rid of the 5th down. We're going to keep the octave down, but we're going to make it 40%. Also add octave up to about 40%. And our dry setting should be on 70. Close the effects window. I'm going to press A on my keyboard to activate automation. Going to change this from multi-shifter to volume, add a dot here and a dot next to it and drag this one down. Add a new dot here and drag this one up. Press A to close the automation window. I think I can add some more automation to that. So pressing A again, drag that up a little higher, maybe back to almost 0. I'm now going to click and drag all of these, right click and merge regions. Then I'm going to right click on the entire region, copy it and paste it at 21. It'll ask you if you want to move automation. In this case, we're going to say don't move. Now when I press A to activate automation, you can see that the automation has not been copied. Click here to create a new automation point, click next to it and drag this up so that it's quite high, almost up to around 5 or 6 dB. Close the automation window. Now in the bass drum machine, double click and we're going to create a new pattern E. We're going to put the bass on 1.1 and 1.3 in the 3rd box. Then we're going to put snare on 1, 4, 2 and 1. Change this drum to the clap, echo the snares. And we're going to turn up the velocity of the snare and clap. If there's already a region there, you can see D. We're going to delete it. Go back to your E and choose Add E. Then drag this out to 29. We're also going to drag the piano out to 29. Next, choose your hi-hat drum machine. We're going to add pattern A. We're going to choose this region and drag it out to 29. We're going to go down to this melody line. We're going to drag it out so that it extends to 25. Go in, zoom in a little bit so you can see 4 boxes per bar. Double click here, here in the 4th box on E, and here in the 3rd box on C. That's going to give you your complete melody. Close the MIDI window. Next, we're going to add a new bass. Add track, virtual instruments, click on Studio Grand, type in here, Future, Redux. Click on it and click away. We're going to play it in. So let's change the scale again to D minor, press record and play it in. Once you've recorded, double click to activate the MIDI editor, zoom out a little bit, click and highlight all, and press quantize. Close the MIDI editor. There's one chord we need to change in the piano because it's clashing. It's this one here. So what we're going to do is drag the cursor so that it sits right on that chord. Zoom in a little bit if you like so you can check you're right on it. Right click and click slice, or you can even press S on your keyboard. At 24, do the same thing, S on your keyboard. Delete that section. You can do the same in the next section. Make sure you've activated the region, press S, and at 28, press S. Delete. Let's hear it. We can hear that we need to extend the melody. That's this one here. In fact, let's change it so that we know what it is. Melody. I'm going to zoom out and drag it from the top right corner so that it extends to 29. Okay, the final bit is a little tricky snare roll. It'll take a little bit of time, but it sounds amazing when you get it. Add track, virtual instruments. Click on Studio Grand, go to drum kits, search for raw. The drum fill goes right here at 20.4. So you'll need to zoom in so that you can click right here on 20.4. Double click to enter the MIDI editor. Zoom out and make sure it's just one box long. We're going to double click and put 2 snares here and then this snare here. We're also going to add this tom underneath it. Close the MIDI editor. You'll notice it's probably moved so that it's in the wrong spot. let's drag it so that it sits just in front of 21. At 21, double click again. Drag this in so that it's again one box. We're going to double click in the fourth box and then drag this note in so that it's about half the length. And then we're going to turn off the snap to grid function and double click just next to it. There'll be a little bit of a gap, but it doesn't matter. Close the MIDI editor and drag this so that it sits just in front of your other region. You'll notice that because I don't have snap to grid on, it's not snapping. So let's put the snap to grid back on and move it so that it sits just in front. Let's have a listen. The final thing we're going to add is a crash cymbal. That's going to come in at 21. It's going to make it signal the beginning of the chorus. To do that, we're going to go to BandLab Sounds, clear our search, stay in one shots, and we're going to type in crash slow motion. Over at the riser track, we're going to drag in the crash slow motion. Close BandLab Sounds. Let's listen to the whole thing. To me, it sounds like there's a few things that I could change in terms of volume. So I could go in and use the automation tool for that, or change some of the volume sliders for each track if I want to change the entire track volume. Have some fun editing and mixing as you like, and then try and sing the lyrics over the top or play the melody on an instrument of choice. Well done.